Did you know that gambling addiction has the highest rate of people taking their own life of any addiction? Research shows that 1 in 5 problem gamblers will attempt suicide. That's higher than any other addiction. And yet, nobody's talking about it. My name's Rob, and I'm in recovery from a gambling addiction. I made my last bet November the 12th of 2022. I'm making this video today because there's too many people that are suffering in silence. And to kind of bring that to life, I want to tell you about Sean's story. Sean was a guest on the podcast a few months ago and has since started writing about his gambling addiction on Substack, which I'm going to link in the description of this video. Now, he's given me permission today to tell his story to you, so thank you, bro. And I hope that you understand the seriousness of this addiction based on what Sean had to say. You see, Sean lived with a secret for years. On the outside, he looked fine. He went to work, he laughed with his friends, he posted on social media. He seemed like everyone else. But inside, he was drowning. That's the thing about a gambling addiction. It hides. There's no obvious physical signs early on. There's no smell on your breath. There's no slurred speech. People bury it. They hide it under layers of shame, guilt, and denial until it becomes unbearable. By the time friends and family notice the damage, it's often become severe. The money's gone, relationships are broken, and depression has already taken hold. Sean was living that reality. He was stuck in a loop of chasing losses, isolating himself, and believing that nobody would understand what he was going through. And like so many others, he stayed silent until it almost cost him his life. Sean's gambling story started when he was just 18 years old, living in Brisbane, Australia. The very first time that he gambled, it was nothing more than 20-cent bets here and there on horse races. Within just a few weeks after he started, those small bets, they blew up, and it led to him placing a $1,700 wager on a rugby league grand final. Now, this was the first sign that gambling was never going to be safe for Sean. From the start, he had no real control. Not long after, Sean got into a car accident that totaled his parents' car. When he went back home to recover, his parents began to discover the truth of what was going on. The savings that they thought he had to cover the damages, tens of thousands of dollars, well, that was gone. Now, at this point, his parents stepped in and they took over his finances for a while. But around the same time, Sean had also started a new relationship. For a little while, this became his distraction. The gambling slowed down and eventually he stopped for a bit, but that break didn't last. By 2020, Sean's life had changed, and not for the better. He had gone through a broken engagement, he was experiencing burnout at work, and he had planned a big holiday to Japan that just got canceled because COVID hit. All these negative events happened and he had more time. He was more isolated and he had less stability than ever before. To make things worse, Sean started day trading and saw big wins early on, which of course created 2 problems. He suddenly had a lot of cash flow from when the trades would go well, and it gave him a false sense of confidence. He thought he was smarter than everyone else, something that many problem gamblers can relate to. That combination pushed him right back into gambling. Bigger bets, gambling more often, and constantly chasing the rush. He'd even pull over on the side of the road late at night to place bets before he got home. Now, during this time, Sean's mental health collapsed. He was struggling with major depression and didn't know how to deal with it. His doctor prescribed him an antidepressant, but it didn't really seem to work for him. And later on, he found out that he also has ADHD, which made the situation more difficult. The medication triggered suicidal thoughts that he didn't understand and didn't really know how to handle. While his relationships were continuing to fall apart from the gambling, work continued to feel meaningless, and the world was shutting down around him, Sean clung to the one thing that felt familiar and stable: gambling. You see, it didn't matter that he was losing money. It didn't matter that the debt was piling up. Gambling had slowly but surely become the only thing keeping him from feeling completely numb. Sean started using credit cards for the first time in his life, and then payday loans. He'd borrow $250 at 300 to 400% interest just to keep gambling, even though he knew that he wouldn't be able to pay it back. To cope with the mounting shame and stress, Sean began drinking more. He started avoiding social events because he didn't want anyone to see how bad things had gotten. And when he did go out, he'd secretly gamble, even if it was during a wedding, a dinner, or a party, so he could focus on something other than his anxiety and guilt. By this point, Sean was exhausted, drowning in debt, hiding everything, and of course gambling compulsively every day. That's when he hit his breaking point. In the middle of this spiral, the debt, the shame, the losses, and the complete sense of hopelessness, Sean tried to end his life for the first time. Here's the brutal truth. Gambling addiction rewires your brain. Sean had lost almost everything that he earned. The savings were gone, credit cards were maxed out, debts were piling up. Unlike other addictions, money isn't just the substance, it's also survival. When you lose your entire safety net overnight, hopelessness can really set in fast. And then comes the emotional crash. The high of the win becomes the crushing low of a loss, and the endless spiral of chasing to make it back keeps you on that treadmill forever. Sean's brain couldn't rest. He wasn't sleeping, he wasn't eating. He was stuck in a cycle of anxiety and despair. And the worst part was he was alone with it. He didn't tell anyone because he was terrified of the shame. What would people think? He thought that admitting the truth meant that he was admitting his failure. That silence nearly killed him. Twice, actually. One night, Sean swallowed a handful of pills with enough alcohol that, by all logic, he really shouldn't have woken up the next day. But he did. There was no ambulance, no hospital stay, no friends standing by his bed. The next day, he got up and he went to work. That's what makes this addiction so dangerous. You can look completely fine on the outside, even when you're literally fighting for your life on the inside. A month later, the weight came crashing back, heavier than before. Sean thought, if I can't kill the addiction, maybe I can kill me. This time he took some more pills, and somehow again, he woke up the next day. But waking up didn't feel like a relief, it felt like a failure. He wasn't trying to die, but he just wanted the pain to stop. That's the heartbreaking reality for so many people struggling with gambling addiction. They don't want to die, they just don't know how to live anymore. If you take nothing else from Sean's story, take this. Gambling addiction isn't a moral failure. It isn't about being weak. This is a brain disease, and the systems around us are designed to keep you hooked to gambling. So if you know someone that might be struggling, look for the signs that things are getting bad, like drastic mood swings, financial secrecy, isolation from friends and family, hopelessness, or suicidal comments. And then talk to them, show compassion, and most importantly, remind them that they're not alone. That's a major part of why I make this content, because I felt that way too. And Sean didn't think recovery was possible, but today, he's alive. And I'm sure that he would tell you the same truth that anyone in recovery from this addiction would tell you. It hasn't been an easy journey. Recovery is painful, messy, and uncomfortable, but it's also worth it. Sean realized something powerful. A life without gambling is not going to be perfect, but it's a life worth living. If you're watching this right now and you feel hopeless, I promise you, there's another side to this. You are not your losses. You're not your addiction. Talk to someone, call a helpline, because you deserve to be here. Gambling addiction has the highest suicide rate of any addiction, but recovery is possible. And Sean's story is proof of that. If you're struggling, you're not alone. Watch this video if you need more proof that that's the case. And let's keep getting better together, one day at a time.